Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. We're here today with the Lizardmen, got a community cast from Kark. He's taking on, I believe, A-Move Hackers Skaven, so let's go ahead and get to it. I really like his build here. He's got Mazdamundi on the Palanquin with the banner, I would imagine. Yep, the Sunburst Standard, so he gives missile resistance to himself and everything in the area of effect. So that is going to be hitting both of these Stegodons, both of which are ranked up to rank 9. So they're going to have a serious refire rate and accuracy as well. They're going to be firing in here. We've got Skrull, a couple Rat Ogres, some Sword and Board Storm Vermin, the Natty Bubo's Sharpshooters. We've got a single Hell Pit, a whole bunch of Clan Rats, and Skaven Slaves as to be expected. For the rest of the Lizardmen build, we've got Sora's Spears, Legion of Chocolates, of course, to feed Mazdamundi here. We've also got a healing Rev Crystal in the back line, Skink Skirmishers, and some Jav Skinks just to provide some additional support. In terms of spells here, Mazdamundi's going to be rocking Curse the Midnight Wind and Apotheosis, so looking to layer both healing effects there. And he's also got Banishment, no Ruination of Cities, as it is pretty unpredictable. Definitely understand that, but I really like the use of the Legion of Chocolates here, along with the Sunburst Standard, and of course Shield of the Old Ones will provide some damage resistance as well. All of this is going to make these Stegodons very resistant to enemy fire. Now, granted, there weren't any artillery pieces to shoot here, which is really what the Stegodons are going to be most ideal shooting at, is the Warp Lightning Cannons. And, of course, if there are any JEZZAILs that are revealed, you could potentially ground target these JEZZAILs as well to try and hit them, but that's a little bit risky. Instead, oh man, a headshot right there. Just direct hit from that Stegodon right on the head of that Rat Ogre there. The Rat Ogres have been primarily targeted so far, and already you can see because of the increased fire rate, Stegodons have used up quite a bit of their ammunition, so some really good value so far. Meanwhile, Saurus engaging in the front line against these Clan Rats, they'll do quite well. Obviously, the Storm Vermin will be a little bit better here, but not really nice Curse the Midnight Wind here. Looks like Banishment going to be dropped right on the Regiment of Renown. What are these? Plague Monks here, the Censor Bears. They are giving immune to psychology to all of the Skaven units in this pocket, but that was a huge banishment. Just did a ton of damage to a very high value unit, and of course getting rid of them will mean that these other Skaven units are going to be more vulnerable to terror, which is going to be very key in the late game, of course. Excuse me. Meanwhile, you can see, looks like Blessed with Filth going down here. Nope, Wither to tear away some armor. That definitely will help against some of these more heavily armored units. Not so much against the Skink cohort, but Skrull himself going to come in here. It looks like we got some Clan Rat summons as well. Skaven definitely trying to go for some attrition here. Unfortunately, their anti-large tools, you know, they're really going to be relying on these Natty Bubos and the Hell Pit, and because of the missile resistance factor here, and of course constant Shield of the Old Ones, you know, constant casts, again, of Legion of Chocolates, feeding their missile resistance ability. It is not a constant effect, I want to say. I want to say it's like a on-cast effect. If I could pull up their unit card here. Let's just go ahead and soak up some cinematic action as this absolute mess in here of big monsters. It's definitely going in the Lizardmen's favor. The infantry, it's going to be pretty tough for those Saurus to try and grind through all of this, but at the same time, the big targets here aren't taking much damage. Mazdamundi is a little bit vulnerable to Skrull himself. Mazdamundi doesn't have the best defensive stats, but nice Curse to Midnight Wind and some body blocking from the Stegodon there going to help out. The Assassin is potentially a danger as well, but hopefully he can kind of grind through here a little bit. Legion of Chocolates matched up against the Hell Pit will do very well, but unfortunately, again, those Storm Vermin, not really a good matchup for them. So yeah, if we go ahead and have a look here, it is an on-cast ability, right? Yeah, so it's an active ability. It's not necessarily, you know, passive, permanently affecting, but will definitely help out against those Natty Bubos, who should be just about out of ammo at this point. And you can see kind of the Death Star holding pretty strong here. We do have quite a bit of damage on the Rev Crystal, on one of the Stegodons here, on Mazdamundi, everyone, but because the damage has been kind of spread around between these different targets, they're all still fighting and still alive. You can see that Stegodon's getting reasonably close to its healing cap, meaning there's been some really effective healing so far, and yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of rats here, not a lot of supporting Lizardmen infantry left, which is potentially going to be a problem, but it looks like maybe a few Saurus Spears left over there who can come support a few Skinks as well, using these Skink Javelins to go after those Rat Ogres, and the second Banishment goes down, just absolutely rips apart those Storm Vermin, and again, without the Regiment of Renown Blight Scab Plague Pack here, they are going to get Terror routed away from those big dinos. So you can see the Terror starting to be an issue. Skrulk himself gets caught up without support in the middle of those dinos, takes a ton of damage, and that is going to put a serious dent in the balance of power, as suddenly the Skaven are going to have a lot of leadership issues. That being said, if he can get good rear attacks, maybe take out Mazdamundi here, it's possible for the Skaven to come back in this game. Natty Boobos at this point are out of ammo, but a lot of the Skaven units rallying. You can see how he kind of has like a full surround here for the most part. This is a nice use of the Skink Skirmishers here going after the Natty Boobos, although since they have used up most of their ammo, I'd probably just pull up the Skirmishers back and try and shoot them. But over here, another Blessed with Filth. And it looks like Mazdamundi getting very, very low here. Rod of Corruption as well. Skrulk working and the Assassin both. They're going to be relatively hard for these dinos to actually hit super effectively, so they can kind of sneak in here and get hits. And it does look like Mazdamundi gets taken down by the Hell Pit there. So, yeah, with the Toadman down, that is going to put a balance of power back towards middle a little bit here. The dinos, XP Chevrons will absolutely help, but there are no characters provide leadership effects, like neither of these Stegodons have Skink Chiefs on them, for example, which might have helped, although certainly having the supporting infantry was very helpful as well. You can see that Hell Pit Abomination gets nice RNG healing proc there rather than dying horribly, which is great for the Skaven. That is going to bring, again, the balance power back pretty significantly. You can see the Plague Pack coming back in here. They're going to provide some nice immune to psychology, help prevent terror routing for at least as long as they hang around, which won't be long, considering they have only 150 HP left and just got rear charged by a bunch of Skink Skirmishers. But the Skink Skirmishers actually get terrified away, so maybe, I mean, there's 7 of these Plague Pack left. That is still enough to provide the immune to psychology effect. And a few of the dinos actually get routed off here. You can see the Stegodon gets routed off. Gary, the Rev Crystal, gets routed off. Only one Stegodon still holding on. And a few Saurus Spears also fighting over here. We do start to get some rallying Lizardmen units in the periphery, which will help. It will help prevent these other big dinos from getting routed off. But you can see the Rat Ogres, and everyone comes in here super aggressively along with the Hell Pit Abomination to try and finish off this last Stegodon here. If he can finish it off, then yeah, that's going to be really bad. You can see again, as soon as it routes, that balance power tips again. But all of these units here, they weren't being chased, so they are going to come back from routing. If he had maybe used even like some of these Skaven slaves to try and make sure some of these guys stayed routing, and then route the Stegodon, maybe that's a win right there. But as it stands, a lot of these Lizardmen units are going to come back from route, and especially the Rev Crystals, able to throw out a nice heal here on this Stegodon. And as those heals tick, just watch this balance of power come back towards even. Especially once this Stegodon comes back from route and has a few shots left to try and fire in the late game here on this Hell Pit Abomination. The other one's going to try and snipe out Lord Skrulk. Meanwhile, the Distillodon here terrifies away the Rat Ogres that try and come through. So yeah, all of a sudden, immediately things turn back against the Skaven as Skrulk takes a hit there, and that leads to immediate leadership issues map-wide. There are still the Legion of Chocolates coming back as well. The leadership has recovered and stabilized, and now they're able to get in here and fight a lot of these lower tier Skaven units in melee, which will be quite good. And suddenly a mass terror out swings the balance of power way back against the Skaven, and at this point it's going to be pretty tough. Skrulk is actually shattered, and so he won't have his Scourge effect. It looks like the balance power actually finishes off there, so a really nice back and forth battle. Very well played to both players, and I really like Kark's build here. Using Mazdamundi's missile resistance, Legion of Chocolates, along with the Shield of the Old Ones, kind of layering one after the other to make sure those Stegodons maintain a high level of missile resistance. They were able to tank through pretty much all of the Natty Bubo Sharpshooter's fire at the end of the day. 112 kills from Mazdamundi himself from the banishments, always very, very good here. The Saurus Spears ended up doing quite well. Legion of Chocolates didn't get a whole lot of kills, but their missile resistance is really the reason you bring them here. They really allowed those Stegodons to do a ton of work. 90 kills, 59. Of course, we don't know about any XP Chevrons as they were already ranked 9, but still, like that quite a bit. Rev Crystal for some extra healing and some Skink Skirmishers. On the flip side, I do think this is a pretty solid build. You're not relying too heavily on the missile units, which Lizardmen can kind of counter missile play somewhat against the Skaven. With this, you know, maybe some like chameleon skinks and so on. So I do like going for this as kind of a little bit of a balanced build. You have some range tools, but still lots of melee-centric tools. Storm Vermin, Sword and Shield trade very well with Saurus, especially with some support from like Lore of Plagues, for example. I really like the Plague Pack as well. Just didn't quite end up working out at the end of the day, but still, very fun battle. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.